Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about the single most frustrating thing a junior developer has done or asked of me. So let's get into it. And that's pretty much the question in question. What's the most frustrating thing a junior developer has ever said to you? I had to think about this one a little bit, but I think I can answer this one. So I was called over by one of my junior coworkers, and she was asking for help. Basically, she was asking for help with a specific feature, and I, kind of just came over to start helping her out, right? And so after describing the problem, there was this network request, right? And basically, she was trying to understand why this network request wasn't behaving in accordance with what she was expecting, and that was pretty much the whole story. There was, for some reason, an issue with setting the languages on the page, setting the correct language on the page, right? And so I said, okay, let's have a look at this, because as a junior, you may not think about this all that often when you call over someone to help you. It's just sometimes the person you're calling over may have the answer like immediately, and sometimes they don't. They actually have to do their own investigation to help you with help you out with whatever it is that you're doing. And that's very easy. I mean, you're sitting there with the context of all the things that you have done, and just because someone, like say myself, come over doesn't mean that I immediately know exactly what's wrong and like I know exactly how to solve it, just because the code is massive. Anywho, so I kind of burr through and I go through my regular process of this, right? And so my first question is, okay, there is a network request that isn't happening, so it's not actually setting the languages correctly. Wonder why? And the first thing I do is that I go and I go to the exact line. I basically just search for the function that does this network request. I click on, and I see that she's like actually added this line. I see that she has used a function to do this basically, and then I just click into that function and I read the function, and after reading it, I notice that in the function's behavior is basically that in a testing environment, it will not make the network request. It will use a local cache of translations instead of going to the network and actually grabbing the translations that are stored somewhere else off her computer, right? And I read through this, and she kind of just sits there and doesn't really pay attention. And at least from my perspective, I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I hate this where I represent one part of the conversation. I mean, I don't know what my behavior was. I tried to be nice, but basically I get a little bit frustrated here because it took me just a few, I literally only went to the place where this network request was being made, read the code, just that. It was like anybody could have done this, and that was the whole thing, right? And then I asked her, okay, so you're saying you're having an issue here. Could you explain to me what does this function do? And she just looks at me and says, oh yeah, no, I haven't read what the code does. And I just, so you're calling me over I mean, I would have understood it if it was complicated code, or if it was I would have understood it if she had made a significant effort into figuring this out. Maybe she did, but I mean, holy God, I was just feeling kind of upset with this, because I mean, I understand that you need help sometimes, but I shouldn't have to come over to help you figure out what a function does. You should, as a programmer, I mean, I should, and I said that later to her, I feel like it's within reason that I ask that you research your own feature or your own bug before you call me over to just solve it for you. And basically, she does the thing that juniors do. She freezes up a little bit and basically gives me a little bit of criticism by saying that, instead of asking me how the function works, or pushing me, stressing me with asking about what this code does, you should just show me what it does and help me instead. and I just, like, after being told that, I not only did I, at least from my perspective, not only did I actually come over, try to help, but like immediately when like I realized what the problem is. Yes, sure. It's not that it's not the first time I've had to do this where I've got like to put it in a better way. It is expected, I think. I would say that everybody expects a programmer to do a bit of their own investigation if they have a problem or a bug or something. Do some Googling, like go through the lines, like do your own debugging. What would have happened if I wasn't there? Would she just sit there and wait until somebody came and helped her? Or until, I don't know what, until I mean, if, well, let's say she was working alone, I mean, this is the sort of thing that makes it hard to allow a person to do remote work, because, you have flexible work hours and stuff like that. We can't really give a person like that sort of freedom because you can't trust that they will actually, that they will justify the time that they get on their own. Because if they get stuck or if this sort of behavior is like a common thing, there's nothing you can't really trust a person like that with that sort of time. Then you need to have them next to somebody who's more experienced all the time, right? And as I said, it's like I really felt that, okay, so now I'm getting criticism for basically, and I will admit I got annoyed and I asked, like, okay, what does this function do? Have you read the function? And she said, oh no, I haven't read the function. I'm like, why am I here? You should have read the function. It's like it took me less than 5 minutes to figure this out. And this has nothing to do with being a senior. This has to do with sloppy work, at least from my perspective. And that's something that then I get back in my face saying that, all right, why aren't you a better teacher, Frederick? And I just sat there and I felt like I have tried so many times to do this. I've tried so many times to not only encourage, like, you need to like make sure that you have done some upfront research. I mean, I'm coming here fresh as well, so if it's such a simple problem, it's not like it's unforgivable. Of course it's forgivable, but it's more you haven't even done the basic work anybody should expect, that is expected of you. You just immediately called me over to basically do your job for you. So that was probably up there. It's not like I think about it all the time, but I still feel a little bit, I was very disappointed in this, in my coworker at this point. I have to admit. Yeah, that's something that I have, at least. If I try to help you and I've tried to do this over and over and over, and you seem to never really adopt the things that I'm trying to help you with, and when I feel as if you're like either not you're not, I don't know what to say. I mean, at some point, I mean, had I put this on the internet, it's kind of what I did with my my front-end videos or the technical interviews. I'm trying to put it at the lowest level that I feel is feasible, that still gives you the amount of knowledge or like a good insight into what's going to be expected of you. And guys, there's no minimum limit. It's like, okay, so you didn't do your job or you didn't perform at the level that was required of you. Now it's my fault or it's somebody else's fault that that's not happening, and you give criticism and people get angry over this. And I'm like, what the fuck do you think this is? Like, it's real life, it's work. You are expected to do certain things. It's not like, I mean, I would honestly, that's what I don't get. I have never criticized a teacher, like, or somebody who's like a senior coworker, for not being good enough when it comes to helping me, because I am grateful that they take the time at all. Because they could have just said, no, you're on your own, and then I would have not been stuck, and very likely been in a situation where I might even lose my job because I can't perform. So what I want you to take away from this is that, at least for me, the most annoying thing or like most frustrating thing a junior's ever done to me is to basically not do their job at all. Like, they didn't at all try to solve the problem themselves, or for whatever reason they didn't like even read the code that they were doing. They were just consuming it without reading it through. Then call me over to solve the problem for them. I immediately get a little bit upset because I can see that this is sloppy work. They haven't tried to solve this problem. I ask, and in as controlled as I could. I mean, I'm admitting at this point I was a little bit upset, and I said, like, what does this function do? Like, have you even read it? and then I'm aggressive. Then I'm perceived as being aggressive and basically get criticized that I should try to help instead of asking these questions that makes somebody feel uncomfortable. And I just swallow that and I kind of just go on, because it's not the first time. And I've helped 100 times. I've helped 100 times, and this is the first time I lose my temper a little bit. Yeah, that was not a great experience for me. So note to the juniors out there: don't do this. Be grateful that you're getting help at all from your senior coworker and respect their time. Make sure, because there are requirements on you, and you should do your best to actually make sure that you actually know and you have at least done some basic investigation on a bug before you call the senior coworker over. Have a great day.